Welcome to the T4TCS podcast and YouTube channel. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, and provide your feedback in terms of ideas and topics that you believe are related to T4TCS. We would like to take the time to let our viewers and listeners know that the information discussed here is not to be interpreted as a clinical approach to trauma and psychology. T4TCS was designed to provide insightful information on topics related to post-traumatic growth, finding solutions to somatic healing through a mind and body connection that works for you. It also serves as a platform for members from various communities to learn about positive effects of a trauma-informed approach to self-defense and martial arts training. And now, take the time to enjoy the show. Welcome back, everybody. This is actually the first podcast in the new home dojo. I've been out, I don't know, I haven't been training as consistently as I wanted to outside of the house for about 3 weeks now. Lots of seminars, training at home, but no pressure testing in the past little bit, only because I wanted to make this space. So here we are. Got the cool sign behind us. Trying to be a little bit more legit. I don't know if it feels that way to you, but
Well, I like the sign. Definitely.
different colors too. We'll change that. Maybe do it Christmas shit later.
Yeah, just make it happen. Manifest it.
Yeah. Anyway, we have a lot of exciting stuff happening right now, and I was gonna actually write a little bit of a blog and give a little bit more detail about what we're doing tonight, but I thought we'd save it for the podcast here. So one of the really cool things, my brother-in-law works for Under Armour, and he also coaches a baseball team. He coaches a hockey team in the winter. But last week, just after we were done doing the presentation at Durham College, so that was the third time we did it, I got a text from my brother-in-law asking, hey, I want to talk to you about maybe coming out and helping out with our baseball team and basically doing the talks like what we did with the Sabre Squadron. So we got a wonderful gifts, the three of us here. Doing a mental health talk, resilience talk, and then running through some warm-ups, some group exercises, and then doing some self-defense drills, things that could be used. And so for the Ajax Spartans baseball team, we're doing the same thing tonight, actually. So we're pretty excited about that. So, and that's going to be a team thing. That's going to be a season thing. So we're getting the exposure, we're getting the recognition, and people are seeing value in it, and it's going to help people out. One of the cool things, we noticed a huge difference. I know when we were at the Sabre Squadron, noticed a huge difference from when we started to when we were finished. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
Like from the engagement of the cadets.
Yeah.
Like kind of saw who are these guys? What are these guys all about? I did my spiel. But then when they got on their feet, started moving around and saw the value in what we were doing, they didn't really want to stop.
No, it was a slow start, but it was a strong finish. Definitely captured the attention of a few of them. A few of them you could see, like I had a few come up to me, ask me like, hey, what is this style? What are you guys teaching? Where you get like, there's definitely interest, and I remember as a kid, my first exposure to martial arts was kind of like very impactful, and I knew it was something I wanted to pursue. So having that kind of impact maybe on a kid, is pretty cool. It's start them on, expose them to something and start them on a path.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. Some of them were struggling, some of them were huffing and puffing, but it was definitely, I think it was a good experience for them.
Yeah, they saw value. They came up to me afterwards, and then the email that I got afterwards was pretty cool too. And I have it on our reviews page. Which is pretty neat, and I always like reading them, and not because I want to not because it's from an ego thing. It's just really cool to see how they word their appreciation, because they're actually extracting the value in what we're delivering, right? And they're putting it into words. So this is the email that I got a couple of days after from the 598 Sabre Squadron training cadre. So it says, "Dear Eric and team, on behalf of the cadets, I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks for the incredible presentation you delivered. It was truly engaging and the cadets were captivated throughout. Your openness and willingness to share your experience deeply resonates with them, and they were genuinely touched by your talks. The self-defense segments was a particular highlight. Many of the cadets mentioned they could have done that for hours. It was clear how much they enjoyed it and how valuable the hands-on experience was. Once again, thank you for your time, energy, and expertise. We hope to have the pleasure of welcoming you and your team back again soon." And full disclosure, we actually are in discussions to try and go back, kind of like what we're doing with the Ajax Spartans baseball team. So really cool stuff. I like it. It's awesome. And just to move back again too, is last week, my third time. This second time as T4TCS, we went to Durham College to speak with the postgraduate students in the mental health and addictions program about trauma-informed approaches. It sort of finishes off their semester, so that was a really good discussion. So stay tuned for some of those sound bites and some videos and stuff like that when we get a chance to edit them. We also did a couple seminars. So one of the last ones we did a second was a knife defense seminar, Kombat Arts.
Yeah, I did another. Joy and myself did another joint seminar. Again, it was very successful. A lot of good feedback. A lot of the people there that came, we had close to the same amount of numbers too. And we had about, I'd say, 4 or 5 repeat people come. Actually more, which is really cool because they were well aware that we were going to be covering pretty much the same material. We did throw in some extra stuff for those people who had the skill level and showed that they had the other prior techniques, but for the most part it was the same stuff, and they were like, yep, that's cool with me, we just want to come back and learn it. So definitely they saw value in that, and it got them excited for later on in May. End of May, myself and Joy will be doing another joint knife seminar, which will be focused on the ground. So that's a pretty scary situation in itself. It's definitely one of the areas I would really not want to be in. So we'll be giving some people some basic understanding and kind of like objective training for that. Mind you, that's not a trauma-informed workshop, but part of the stuff that we do teach will be in that, as well as what Joy's sharing. Full disclosure, I learned a lot from Joy, so some of it's shared knowledge, and some of it's we're bringing something separate as well. But we do plan to hope to do a trauma-informed version of it later, which is good. So right now we're just kind of handing out one side of the coin and seeing how it takes, and then being able to offer the other portion of it, or just have people reach out to us and track us and when we do future workshops. The way that we do it is we break it down into modules, and later on one of the modules will deal with the weapons, edged and impact weapons, as far as T4TCS is concerned. So those portions there will have a lot of input from Eric to understand kind of like what's going on mentally, physically, while having to deal with an attack like that and the aftermath. So, but that being said, it's we're still giving like pieces of it, so I'm looking forward to that. And then we also had recently had a stick grappling, stick fighting tactics seminar. Again, some of the components in there, it was a joint seminar with Dog Brother, one of the first Canadian dog brothers, growling dog Rene Cocolo. But the portion that I was sharing was something that can be used for sport, but it's also something that we can look into sharing with security who carry baton. Because of the limitations that they have to use with baton, they have to be careful on how they use it to strike, striking humanely with it. But however, there is a lot of talk in the community that a lot of people don't feel comfortable using the baton, especially if they're like people are impaired that they're attacking.
Well, I mean, it's also a lot of people are afraid of what they don't know either, right? Like
Yeah.
it kind of goes back to what you were saying before in terms of like a situation you don't want to be in, where I know when I first started training with you guys, and then also from some of my past experiences, is when you get on the ground, or even when you're presented with a weapon, the mentality changes, right? And
Big time.
your approach needs to change. Like even some of the stuff that we did with Todd Fossey for IDS, weapons retention, mentality changes. Where your weapon is holstered, where those things are, you need to be aware of. And if you do end up on the ground, you need to be aware of where that is at all times, so that you don't expose that area.
Even for a seasoned jiu-jitsu practitioner, you have to understand that your jiu-jitsu is not going to be the same as you normally train it. So that's something to really take into consideration.
But it's also like your heart rate. When you have a weapon and
things change.
You go to the ground or you get into a situation, and if you haven't stress tested or stress inoculated and gone through like vigorous and rigorous training where you're used to regulating yourself, your heart rate goes up so high that you can do things that you wouldn't realize you would otherwise do. And so I think it's incredibly important. But also, if we take it out of the Canadian context, law enforcement in Canada don't use their batons as much. And I'm not a law enforcement officer, so I don't know this for sure. Just understanding their use of force options, there's the taser, there's a firearm, and then you have a baton. I'm not sure how often it's used, but if that's an option that you have, why not have the tools in the toolbox to be able to use it safely and confidently and not go overboard with it, right?
Well, the whole idea behind it is like if you ever had to pull out your baton and trying to deter somebody by hitting them in the thighs and stuff like that. Problem is not everybody responds to pain the same way, especially if they're under a substance. So what happens if they grab the baton back, or if they tackle you, or while you guys are fighting over the weapon, you fall? You can't just be hitting them in the head. So you also don't want them to take the weapon from you. And you might not necessarily want to abandon the weapon because of the circumstance of how many people are around, who's with this person, etc. So the whole portion that I was teaching was basically how to use the weapon for control and submissions. And I think all law enforcement security should have some jiu-jitsu training because they're in the business of controlling and neutralizing people. So that should be a prerequisite. Should probably be like, I don't know, some people say blue, some people say purple. I think to give grace, at least a seasoned blue belt would be, I think, should be like a mandatory thing. But specific jiu-jitsu.
I was going to ask you that, like your thoughts on like objective specific.
I think
because you can get a sport combat dude, or you can get a competition guy that they're. We talk about that. The programming is not going to be the same.
Well, somebody who trains jiu-jitsu competitively, like full disclosure, I should be going for my black belt in Japanese jiu-jitsu this year. And once I attain that, I'll be going back to Brazilian jiu-jitsu. As far as Brazilian jiu-jitsu, the last time I ranked in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which was a long time ago, I was a blue, but I'm told by BJJ black belt, like at Combat, Dave Beckles, and brown belt Joey, that I'm sitting at probably around a purple anyway. But regardless, it's like I'm not the best jiu-jitsu guy out there. There's tons of guys who are better. That's not the point though, because my goal for jiu-jitsu is not to be the competitor. I want to make sure that I'm skilled enough on the ground and I spend time in jiu-jitsu so I have the essence of jiu-jitsu. My research and development really goes into the grappling with the striking, the grappling with like prioritizing getting up to my feet, and also involving edged and impact weapons. And I've used jiu-jitsu more than in jiu-jitsu tournaments, more in full contact stick fighting. I use my jiu-jitsu the most. That being said, yeah, if you're training like competition jiu-jitsu or you're just training BJJ regularly, that's still amazing. You're gonna be able to handle yourself against majority of the population. However, if you're in law enforcement or security, there should be specific classes, and I know there are some schools out there that do that, which is what they should be doing. But yeah, you definitely need to cater to your needs, cater to your livelihood, cater to your where are you going to be using this the most. Um, so that's where like we focus a lot of our jiu-jitsu training. I spend time just doing jiu-jitsu so that I can understand how to maneuver in that world, but then I spend more time um, using jiu-jitsu outside of that framework. So yeah, definitely law enforcement should be using it. Anyway, that being said, I find like I think that that could be a solution to a problem that I've heard a lot of security people say is, you know, they don't feel confident using the baton. They think it's a shit weapon because if the person's intoxicating, they can't tee off and hit somebody in the head or in the arms per se. They have to go humane shots, and that gives an opportunity for the other person to tackle them or try to strong arm them and take the tool away. This could be a good solution for those kinds of situations that could arise.
Yeah, and I know like I didn't do like it was pretty cool actually because like I got a chance to train with yourself and Renee uh, on the weekend in that the stick fighting seminar, and I haven't done, man, I think it's since 2012 the last time I used any of them like physically, and that was with Sean Tyler. But it was a
Great guy.
different it was a different dynamic though, right? It was I was just learning, and but to go into what you and Renee were doing and then do the grappling on the ground with it, completely different game, 100% different. Was I able to use some of the stuff that we've been doing, like when it actually got into the clinch and we got close up? Sure, it made sense, and it all kind of came together. But when you get on the ground, it is different, and it also is when you apply the option of, let's say, for example, a choke or a submission with a stick. It's on that much quicker.
Yeah, it does not feel good.
It no, it doesn't. But there was a mix of people there, and it was cool because there was a mix of experience in different arts. So everyone was sort of, I want to say, equal plane, somewhat average. Everyone on their feet after we started going through the drills. But then as soon as the ground game came into play, we can see and feel the difference.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool to watch. So, and I got a messed up thumb from it too. So that's fun. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's expected.
There's a level of aggression there that is a little bit different, but I like that approach though, and I like the way I could tell the people that you train with and have trained with because the approach is similar. What else do we have coming up? We have a module 2 for our trauma-informed women's self-defense is coming up at the end of May, so May 31st. We've got a few people signed up already, so please take a look at the website, t4tcs.ca. Look at the events and training page. That's a way that we could you can register for it. One of the things I shared a reel a couple days ago about it is that we don't necessarily, although it's good, we don't necessarily have to have the students coming in have had module 1 before coming into module 2. No. The really neat thing about the first couple of seminars that we do and we introduce to people with is that we're still in the basics phase of teaching the fundamentals of facing our work and applying basic principles of getting out of the situation and understanding objective-based training.
That's kind of the common thread between all modules.
Yeah. And then so these 2 modules are really neat in the sense that if you come from module 2, we could still catch you up on the theoretical and the psychological side of module 1 for the trauma-informed approach. and then we could still blend that in afterwards. So it's not a prerequisite that you absolutely have to have module 1 before coming in.
No.
And because they are seminars, that's what makes it unique too. It's not like it's not like you've started the course or you're going into the program at module 2 and then continuing on. That's a different thing altogether, which is what we're doing, which is basically how things are developed. So if we're coming into a seminar, great, come into module 2, you're going to see the principles that we use there. Come into module 1, you're going to see the principles that we use there. But just understanding that within 4 hours, it's not like we're giving you a small piece of the pie, like a small picture of the bigger picture. So just because we got 4 hours, we're giving you the confidence, the fundamentals, the basics, but the training doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
It's not like module 1.
Without giving too much away,
Yeah.
I don't want to give it all away.
Module 1 is more focused on preloading all the skills, preemptive skills you need to keep yourself safe and out of danger. And that's all I'm going to say about that, with some basic, just touching the surface, physical things. Module 2 is where it's 80%, I say, physical, and mixed in with some of the psychological and trauma training. It doesn't mean that the next time you come to module 2, it's going to be totally different. We're not here to give people a huge library of techniques. That is not what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to give you guys basic, high percentage, gross motor, not hard to remember techniques that all string together, that at the end of it, you'll see it like it's matrix that we've provided for you, but everything will feed into itself. And this way, you're not having to spend 5 years just to be able to defend yourself, you know? And to be honest with you, there's never a guarantee. We're not here to sell guarantees.
Mm.
We're here to make sure that you understand what it feels like to draw that spirit to fight back, to understand the physicality involved, to understand the psychological aspects involved, and to give you a pathway that is going to be easier for you to recall, because it's based on sensitivity and objectives rather than techniques and lines of attack. Because we don't know what that's going to be ever.
Mm-hmm.
And so just understand that no matter what module you go to, we're going to meet you where you're at, and you will take something away from it. And each one is themed specifically in an area of the fight. So even if you take the first 2, there's still something new. It's like a new loading phase each time.
Yeah, and we're only touching a few techniques every time we do the module 2, or every time we do each module. Like the last time we did module 1, there was a few different things,
Nuances, yeah,
that we didn't cover in the first time we did module 1. So
yeah, that also depends on the it's not like we just follow a template and just make everybody conform to it.
Mm-hmm.
We have goals, but the goals we hit will depend on the people in the room. And, you know, if we need more time with you to get certain things, then that's what we're going to do, because there are things that we need to hit to make sure that you understand, because they are pretty much like the nucleus of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And without that, it will fall apart.
100%. 100%. And again, we don't want to give too much away, so we'll kind of leave it there. But yeah, we're 31st is module 2. There's a little bit of theory in there with the psych stuff, a recap of module 1. So you'll get a little bit of a drip feed. But yeah, come out. The more the merrier. And those that have done module 1, both at last November and in February, sign up. If you're available to come out, it's a really good experience. I know my wife is going to come out.
Yeah, we have a few women who are interested, and like I said, the feedback and the fact that we've had 2 ladies actually use what we've taught them in a real life scenario with success is fantastic. So I'm really excited. This should be a good workshop.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. A few extra things coming too. I'm less than 20 days away from going to Edmonton also, to talk to the Alberta Crime, Alberta. I always mess it up. Alberta Community Crime Prevention Association. Um, Lots of people in the law enforcement community. Also, lots of people in social services. Lots of people in the education, like the academia in the universities around there, emergency management planning, all kinds of stuff. But it seems to be like the theme this year revolves around, the effects of mental health within the community, but also how it bleeds into different types of criminal activity and stuff like that. So it's really neat that I get to be part of this, and it's not the end either. So there's a lot of stuff coming out of that that's going to spread out of that too. What else is it that really, like, in the last couple of months? I mean, we've done a lot of work, and there's a lot more going on that we have planned for next year, and then leading up to the fall and the summertime. What else do we want to, without giving a lot away, do we want to let our viewers and listeners know about where we're headed?
For anybody out there who is in law enforcement or any armed guards, myself and Joy will be heading out to Minnesota to train with Todd Fossey of IDS. You should check him out and see what he does. He's really, really good with being a fighter with a gun, not a gunfighter. So he trains a lot of civilians and law enforcement, personal protection. But basically, we are going to be going and conducting, I think, a week of intensive training, so that we can come back here and be able to be signed off and offer some of that training for that community. That's something that we're looking to possibly, at some level, be affiliated with IDS.
Yeah,
Not to certify you in IDS, but we will be signed off to teach that material when it comes to firearms, which is very important. But we'll also be doing it through the lens of T4TCS, which will give us that added value.
Yeah, he's very much aligned with.
Yeah, Todd's a great guy.
Yeah.
I would really look into what he does. He has a great body of work, and he's very passionate about what he does, as are we. And there's a synergy there, and we want to kind of offer that kind of training on this side of the border because, in all honesty, it's something that's lacking. But again, mixing that in with what we have already, as far as the rest of the empty hand and edge weapon and impact weapon, and the way that we're breaking it down specifically, the way we codify it, and of course adding in the value of the trauma. I'm very excited to, I believe Joey and myself, when we come back in May, we're having the ground knife defense, but I think later on in the summer, keep your ears out, possibly we'll be holding our first seminar with that theme: retaining your firearm, drawing your firearm, fighting with your firearm. So I'm excited for that. And like I said, T4TCS is not a one-trick pony. We are looking to reach out to civilian, law enforcement, security, civilian, sports psychology, competitive athletes, just anybody. We are looking to be able to be very diverse and use our resources and our networking to be able to offer what we do in so many different capacities.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, you and Joey are going first. I can't go when you guys do your trip. So I'm going to be going later in the fall.
Yeah, I might come. I might come when you go.
Either, I mean, just more times, just whatever, right? Just to get out.
Get out.
But yeah, like you said, it's not a one-trick pony, and the proof is in the pudding. And I might be bastardizing that saying. Somebody said, well, it goes a different way around. But I looked at it, I Googled proof is in the pudding, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Anyway, I mean, Sabre Squadron invited us out to help them out. That's a team dynamic. We're doing some mental resilience and focus work with them. some strength and conditioning training, providing the self-defense side of things. I mean, we've got the Ajax Spartans baseball team. We're doing the mental health, resilience, the focus, that side of the training. And this is going to be a season-long thing. And then also doing team-based conditioning and self-defense for the youngsters as well, right? So we're doing way more than what people think T4TCS is. And that was the whole point. The other side of things in terms of the athletes, like that's also what we want to offer too, is pre and post competition, pre and post gradings, so to speak, the anxiety that you feel, prepping people for those moments of high stress to help them understand what their body is going to go through. Their mind and their body is going to be connected, how things are going to break down, how they can recover from it faster. All of that stuff. That's what that's what it was designed to do. And so it's starting to get traction now. And next year, I'll be able to add a much different dynamic at a clinical level there too. So that's going to be pretty unique. What else? We talked about that, the Todd Fossey stuff.
I think that's it right now.
That's pretty much it, yeah. And then now that I've got the home dojo set up, it's just going to be some training in here. I'm probably going to be I'm going to be the first person choked out in this room, most likely tomorrow, if I'm understanding correctly.
Maybe.
Or the first person to be...
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Depends if you want to work on.
I'm going to be the first hurt person in this room officially. But yeah, I mean, that's a quick update. Normally our podcasts are a little bit longer. We actually will have Carl Legault back on.
Yeah, that'll be good.
So please look out for a part 2 sometime this summer with Carl Legault. So he's the professor at Durham College that has been inviting me there to speak with his students. So thank you so much, Carl, for listening to this or watching. But we covered some interesting healing modalities and certain aspects of recovery and trying to apply the first aid section of mental health. So we talked about mental health and addictions and how to work against that, but also understanding that in immediate action might require somebody to be on medication. But then we also talked about the healing modalities being blended in terms of what we do. Like we help people understand the somatic healing process. But what we're also going to be doing is that we're going to be working a little bit with Carl, talking to him about part 2 about that. But then we're also going to, I'm not going to give anything away at all, but we've been talking a little bit about what we can do physically with him, and then have him actually, as a professional, break down some of the mental side of things too, from his perspective. So, and that's what we love to do with everything. We love to be challenged so that we can pressure test things. And so this is, from his professional lens, we're going to have him kind of look at, hey, he already does hugely support us, which I thank you so much, Carl.
Yeah, thanks, man.
But we're going to have a more critical lens on it, and then take a look at it from a pressures perspective and see, maybe we should change what we're doing here. Maybe we should add this, or no, what you're doing is great, but just put this in there. So again, I'm not giving anything away, but stay tuned for part 2 of that. And we also have, I don't know if I mentioned it to you, but we had Rob, the retired firefighter.
Yes.
He wants to do...
The artist, right?
Pardon?
The artist?
Yes, the artist, yes. So if you guys have a chance, check out his websites. I'll post it in the comments and in the synopsis section of the podcast and the YouTube channel. But he does really cool graphic art stuff online using some assistance with AI, but most of the stuff he's doing is computerized.
Yeah, very cool.
Really neat stuff. It can look dark, but there's a huge meaning to it. So his name is Rob Lethan. He's on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. He's got him and I trained to do suicide intervention and train people in suicide and assist training. He would like to come back and do another one too.
Absolutely.
Because he's loving what he's seeing. And he's like, let's put some more traction. He does a lot of work with boots on the ground. So it's geared towards first responders and law enforcement and veterans. So there's a lot of whispering going on right now that that we could be exposed to. We also had Jenny Brackman. She's in the U.S. She runs Resilia, which used to be Forward Facing Institute. Got some great reviews from her, and she's actually posted on her website her interaction and her experience with us on the podcast, which was really awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
So
great conversation with her.
So we're not just getting traction here in Canada and Ontario. We're getting traction and recognition from people in the U.S. Also, Kurt Lafleur.
Yes, out in Alaska, Anchorage.
Yeah. Was it the two? His podcast is Two FMA Nerds or something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like it. It's gaining traction. It's going pretty well. We're only 3 of us though, still working full-time jobs, making it happen. So
yeah,
it's there's no, how to put it. You can always find a way to make it work. So
best thing you guys can do is, if you find values, just spread the word.
Yeah.
Support us. We're passionate about what we do. We have the training in what we do. We have the qualifications in what we do. And yeah, we want to serve our community. So if you guys spread the word, people who support us so far, who have been loyal with us, we know who you are and we thank you.
Yeah. Really quick before we finish off, you just reminded me. Dave, thank you so much. Warrior Fight Store.
Yes.
T4TCS members, clients. So clients of ours, in-store 10% discount. Thank you so much, Dave, at Warrior Fight Store. I'm going to give you a shout out and link you in the podcast as well for that.
Grab some gear, guys.
So Warrior Fight Store, they're on Brock, south of Bailey and Pickering. You guys need gear, go in, grab it.
Tell them we sent you.
You need to be a T4TCS client, though, for that 10% discount. It needs to be an in-store thing. But I very much appreciate that. We also, in talking with Joey, too, so I wanted to make sure I gave him a shout out here.
Sifu Joey.
I was introduced to Sifu Joey by you. We've been going there once a month to do blended training, and I love it so much. He's also one of the collaborators on our website now, too.
Kombat Arts.
Kombat Arts. So thanks, everyone, for everything that you guys are doing in terms of supporting us, spreading the word and what we're doing. And there's actually more to come. I'm in talks with some sports supplement stores and retailers about being able to do some work with them and be featured in some of their stores and have some giveaways too in the Durham region. So stay tuned for that. I will not give any other information other than that about the sports supplement store, but they see a ton of value in what we're doing. They want to help spread the word in the community, specifically talking about the mind-body connection and the importance of nutrition and how all of that is connected together to keep us going. So thank you so much, everybody. I think we covered everything we wanted to talk about in this podcast today.
Yeah.
Again, Jakub unable to make it. There might be a blend where it's just Jakub and Mark or Jakub and myself. But all 3 of us are still around. So if you're looking for anybody on Instagram, social media like Facebook and stuff like that, Jakub Mulik, Mark Medeiros, Eric Poirier, myself, T4TCS, we're all over the place. Even just Googling us now, the search engine automatically populates Spotify and Apple iTunes and stuff like that. So pretty cool. Stay tuned for more. T4TCS.ca. Watch the reels and stuff like that. So we're giving little snippets and stuff like that out just to kind of give pointers and things to look out for. As Mark said, though, without being that guy, we are qualified. I am a community workplace traumatologist. I'm in school for clinical work now. We're recognized by many bodies. And
what Eric is trying to say is,
yeah,
hashtagging trauma-informed doesn't mean you're a trauma-informed trainer.
Yeah. Thanks for breaking the ice on that. I really don't want to. There's people that have amazing intentions. very good intentions. Here's what can happen though, but even with martial arts though.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And I've kind of, we've shared some reels and we've cross-referenced this with other people and some of our supporters. The intentions could be great, and I'm not taking any of that away. Like somebody with a big heart, they really want to do something really good. But we could also provide a false sense of security that can get a person in a lot of trouble. It could do more harm than good when the situation actually does occur, from a self-defense perspective, but also from a trauma-informed perspective. If the persons or people are not properly or adequately trained, for example, doing a crisis situation, trying to de-escalate, let's say it's a suicide intervention, or it turns out to be that way, or the person's triggered in a specific way during a role, that it's important to understand and see that, and then take a step back and reevaluate the situation. Also, understanding the objective, like Mark was saying, when somebody wants to come in for self-defense training or training in general, what do you want to do? How can we meet you where you're at to help you achieve your goal? Because that's really important to understand.
Yeah.
So just be mindful of that. We're always going to spread good stuff about that. And we're here even just to send us a message through the website, on social, ask us questions. Answering your question is not going to cost you any money. And as I mentioned in a lot of my talks, being a trauma-informed person, or even answering with empathy, I mean, what's the harm in that, right? There is no harm. If somebody's in crisis and you have proper training, you can do some really good stuff. You can help save a life. But if there's nothing wrong and you still approach it from the same mindset, and you're empathetic and you're open, you have emotional intelligence, I mean, you're just having a good fucking conversation.
Yeah.
Right? So please just understand that, and do your own research. Do yourself a favor. Check people out before you, what was that that Jenny said? Before you invest too much money in the sunken cost fallacy of saying, well, I've been there for 3 years, I might as well just finish it off.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's all I can say about that, really.
Yep.
You good? You got anything else
I'm
to
good.
say?
Thank you for your support. Keep watching. Yeah, we're just getting started.
Yeah. So we're going to have some footage. This will be released, and then we're going to also have some footage. So stay tuned for some footage, also with the Ajax Spartans. I'm super excited about that. I've already sent out, again, I'm not going to give that away, but I've sent out the design program for tonight's warm-up, and the coach is pretty pumped. So
Sweet.
yeah. Thanks, everyone.